Pakistan is no stranger to political drama. The recent turmoil involving the PTI and its charismatic leader Imran Khan has thrust the nation into a tense standoff. Khan, a former cricket star turned politician, enjoys widespread popularity but faces mounting pressure from the current government. Accusations of corruption and misgovernance have led to Khan's removal from office, sparking protests and unrest across the country.
The government maintains that Khan's removal was legal and necessary to address the allegations against him. They point to his alleged financial impropriety and authoritarian tendencies as evidence of his unsuitability for office.
On the other hand, Khan and his supporters claim a politically motivated witch hunt, designed to silence his criticism and dismantle his party's growing influence. This clash between the government and the PTI has deeply polarized Pakistani society. With both sides entrenched in their positions, the situation remains volatile. The outcome of this struggle will have profound implications for Pakistan's fragile democracy and the future of political participation in the country. The current climate of political uncertainty has left many Pakistanis feeling anxious and disillusioned. The economy is struggling, and the threat of violence looms large. Nevertheless, amidst the turmoil, there is a glimmer of hope. The Pakistani people have a long and proud history of resilience and a deep-seated desire for a more just and equitable society. In the digital age, information travels at lightning speed, and Pakistan's political battle is no exception. Social media platforms have become both battlegrounds and megaphones, amplifying every statement and accusation. The government, wary of the power of this online sphere, has expressed growing concern over what it perceives as digital threats.
They argue that misinformation, hate speech, and incitements to violence are running rampant on these platforms, posing a serious threat to national security and social harmony. The government points to instances of online harassment, doxing, and even death threats directed at government officials and their families as evidence of this digital danger.
The government's concerns are not entirely unfounded. The internet can be a breeding ground for extremism and violence, and Pakistan, with its history of religious and political tensions, is particularly vulnerable. However, critics argue that the government is using these concerns as a pretext to crack down on dissent and stifle freedom of expression online. They point to recent legislation aimed at regulating social media companies and increasing government control over online content as evidence of this creeping authoritarianism. This debate over online regulation highlights the delicate balance that governments must strike between protecting national security and upholding fundamental freedoms in the digital age. In the face of government accusations and pressure, the PTI has remained defiant, maintaining their commitment to peaceful protest as a means of expressing their dissent and demanding change. They argue that peaceful assembly and demonstration are fundamental rights enshrined in Pakistan's constitution and that any attempt to suppress these rights is a direct attack on democracy itself.
PTI leaders, including Imran Khan himself, have repeatedly emphasized the importance of nonviolence in their movement. They have urged their supporters to refrain from engaging in any form of vandalism, looting, or violence against law enforcement officials. Instead, they have called for peaceful marches, rallies, and sit-ins as a way to make their voices heard.
The PTI maintains that their struggle is not just about Imran Khan or even about their party, it is about the future of Pakistan. They argue that the current government is corrupt, incompetent, and beholden to foreign interests. They believe that only through a change in leadership can Pakistan achieve its true potential. While the PTI's commitment to peaceful protest is commendable, the situation remains volatile. The potential for violence always exists in such charged environments, and it only takes a spark to ignite a conflagration. The responsibility lies on both sides to exercise restraint, engage in dialogue, and seek a peaceful resolution to the current crisis. Section 4. The Power of Peaceful Protest, a Global Perspective. The struggle for freedom and justice has often been waged on the streets, with peaceful protests serving as a powerful tool for change throughout history. From the salt marches of Mahatma Gandhi to the civil rights marches led by Martin Luther King Jr., peaceful demonstrations have toppled regimes, dismantled discriminatory laws, and advanced human rights across the globe. The power of peaceful protest lies in its ability to mobilize public opinion, expose injustice, and pressure those in power to listen to the grievances of the people. When citizens unite peacefully, raising their voices in unison, they create a moral force that is difficult to ignore. The effectiveness of peaceful protest is rooted in its nonviolent nature. By refusing to resort to violence, protesters maintain the moral high ground, garnering sympathy and support from a wider audience. Violence, on the other hand, is often counterproductive, alienating potential allies and providing justification for state repression. While peaceful protest is not without its risks, its potential to bring about positive change is undeniable. By embracing nonviolent resistance, citizens can hold their leaders accountable, demand their rights, and create a more just and equitable society. Section 5. Echoes of Change, Historical Triumphs of Peaceful Protest. History is replete with examples of peaceful protests that have reshaped societies and inspired generations. The Indian independence movement, led by Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of satyagraha, or non-violent resistance, stands as a testament to the power of peaceful protest. Through boycotts, strikes, and peaceful demonstrations, Indians were able to dismantle the British Empire's grip on their nation, paving the way for independence in 1947. The American Civil Rights Movement, spearheaded by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and John Lewis, utilized peaceful protests, sit-ins, and boycotts to dismantle segregationist laws and secure equal rights for African Americans. The iconic March on Washington, where King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, remains a powerful symbol of the movement's commitment to nonviolence and its enduring legacy. In Eastern Europe, the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of communist regimes were precipitated by a wave of peaceful protests. Citizens, yearning for freedom and democracy, took to the streets demanding an end to oppression. The Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia, led by Václav Havel, stands as a shining example of peaceful transition from authoritarian rule to democracy. These historical examples demonstrate that even the most entrenched power structures can be challenged and changed through sustained, strategic, and above all, peaceful resistance. They serve as a source of inspiration and a reminder that ordinary people, united in their pursuit of justice, can achieve extraordinary things. Section 6. Charting the Course, the Future of Pakistan's Political Landscape. The ongoing political turmoil in Pakistan hangs in the balance, its outcome uncertain. The government faces the daunting task of addressing the legitimate concerns of the PTI and its supporters while upholding the rule of law. Stifling dissent through force or censorship will only exacerbate tensions and further erode public trust.
The PTI, on the other hand, must remain committed to its pledge of peaceful protest. Any resort to violence will only undermine their cause and provide justification for a crackdown by the authorities. Continued dialogue, however challenging, remains the only viable path to resolving the current impasse.
The international community, too, has a role to play in encouraging both sides to engage in constructive dialogue and uphold democratic principles. International pressure can help create space for peaceful resolution and discourage any attempts to subvert democratic processes. The future of Pakistan's fragile democracy hinges on the choices made by its leaders and its citizens in the days and weeks to come. The world will be watching to see whether Pakistan can navigate this turbulent period and emerge as a more stable, democratic, and prosperous nation.